Okay, so hello and thank you for having me here as a non-Joomla person, or as indirect Joomla person. I want to talk today about the need to belong to a community, and I will do this from my professional background because I'm working as as a consultant. I consult enterprises, organizations, educational institutions regarding their organizational structures, and I coach management staff and normal people, single persons regarding their personal development or professional development. And what I'm going to do today is looking with my transactional analysis eyes on the Joomla community, on the Joomla project. And when I look with transactional analysis eyes, I need to explain a little bit. It's just a very small insight. It's not the usual way of how it's working if you work with transactional analysis. It's a method, a psychological method that developed in the 60s, 70s, here in the United States, partly in Canada from Eric Byrne. And it's a set of models which help to discover how we react, why we do it like we do, how we feel, why we feel, how we behave, and how we can change this. And it's very popular to be used in organizations and companies, in communities, in educational institutions, in personal counseling, and also in psychological counseling. And I am more on the counseling and organization background, so I used my professional background to look on the Joomla project. That means I look at the Joomla project as a group, as a community, as a group in their terms, and I will look on the visible and hidden structure. So each group has a visible structure. And there are also always some hidden structures. I want to go inside a little bit, what does it mean? Of course, I will look at the dynamic of groups, activities, authorities inside the group. What defines authorities inside the group? And how to fit in. How do I fit in and how do you fit in this Joomla community? And what are possibilities to develop this community? First of all, I have to clarify when I talk about the group, I mean just a group which dissociates from other people by giving an organizational structure. This might be very, very simple. That means a group of people coming together for doing something together, and usually they have a leader or one or two leaders. So usually there's a number of people, but one or two are the persons who are saying, okay, this is our direction, this is what we are going to do. Under this definition, I will look into the Joomla project, okay? Let's have a deeper look into the structure of groups. Each group has a border, a boundary. As I said before, we dissociate from other persons, from other people. We follow a certain interest, a certain thing to do. And therefore, we have a border around us. We define this border in different ways. These boundaries can be very close. So you belong to a group, I don't know, when you are going to prison, for example, it's a very close group. There's a way in, but there's a very difficult way out. You can belong to a group like the Joomla community. There's an easy way in, there's an easy way out. There's no boundary really around this. you can belong to a group by the type of membership. So the type of membership defines how easy is it, despite of the boundaries, to get into this group or to leave the group. And you belong to a group of Americans because we are born here. You belong to a group by, I don't know, by nature, by accident. You are a group of women and you are a group of men. And you can belong to a group by choice. You choose it. And you have to do certain steps to be a member of this group. You have to be elected. For example, a board of directors group is an elected group, so it's not easy to get in, despite there's an open, transparent process to overcome the border. But there is a restriction regarding membership. Or you are just, you have to be a member of this group if you have to go to school or to study or something like this. I hope it's clear what does it mean, type of membership. And then each group has an inner and a public structure. The public structure of a group is usually the visible structure from when you look from outside. What you can see outside watching on an organization, on a company. You know, you have the administration board, you have different, I don't know, branches inside the company. So this is the official organizational structure. And the inner structure is defined by the rules each member of this group has to follow. And then you have a hidden structure. And the hidden structure, you can mostly explore best when you are a member of this group, or if you are able to watch on this group for a long time, for a long period of time, and you can observe the group in their behavior, in their activities, in their observing their culture, observing their rules. But this is only your personal impression, and it might be different if you are inside the group, and then you will realize the hidden structure. That's it. So this is a very simple group. It's dissociated to the outside of the world, and there are members inside. So, and then, then a very simple structure is you have someone who leads. Yes.
Would this be helpful?
What?
Would that be helpful? Yeah. Point that to the other one.
There's no IR sensor in the MacBook Air.
Oh, that's an error? I didn't know that was an error.
It won't work on the Air.
No, I'm the remote control.
You're the remote control. So just click it at him when you want him to do something.
Yeah. Don't look at me, yeah?
No, that's okay. I know it like this. Okay? So usually you have someone who leads the group. Yeah? So this is a very, very simple structure. And once again, if I look on the Joomla project, just to have a concrete example, I did it on the 5th of March when I prepared this presentation. So, once again, you have, according to the website, if you go to joomla.org, and if you click on About the project, yeah, so what I did, you have a board of directors, a board of leaders, so you have both them, and you have a leadership team. Yeah. Okay. Then you have a production working group, and you have a community working group. That's all. How the organizational structure is defined. The official, the outside physical structure is defined for the Joomla project. What is a little bit weird, if you go inside and try to understand the rules, how the responsibilities are given to the different leads of this project, it turns out about that OSN is an external association, yeah, right? It's an external association who is leading, who is part of the leadership of the Joomla community. And it shares the lead with the leadership team. And only by choosing the term leadership team and open source matters, despite it's explained what everyone has to do, just going through the website, there are multiple belongings. There are persons, members of open source matters, and they are also belonging to the leadership team, or also belonging to the production working group, or to the community working group. So there is no clear definition of responsibilities from the person sides. There is no clear definition of how to get into these different parts, how to be a member of the community working group, how to be a member of the leadership team, of open source matters, of the production working group. And from my point of view, I think in this construction, there lies a lot of conflicts, a lot of disorientation, a lot of misunderstandings regarding what is the Joomla project about. What completely is missing here for me, when I looked at it, well, where's the community? Where are the members? They are not there, not really. So the Joomla project itself defines it in this public structure like this. This was the official version, so just have a look to the hidden structure of the group. When we talk about the hidden structure, then we call it group imago. It's the image every single person inside the group defines how it fits into the group and how this person sees all the members and the acting and activities and the rules and culture of the group. And this is subconscious. This is the first impression. If you go into a group of people and say, hey, I want to be a member, the borders are open, I just want to be with you because you are very simple. So I go into this group and I'm there. And I try to figure out my way around. So to whom I'm near, where can I hook on, what can I do here? So my subconscious feeling, my first impression when I meet someone, when I go into a group, decides about how I will act inside this group and how the others will respond to me. And this hidden structure is a very, very personal thing, but in summary of all members, you can imagine what does it mean. This makes the dynamic of the group. And it changes over the time because you change your point of view, you change your desires, your feelings, your requests, your contributions. And a group imago has very different status. Okay. So, and at the beginning, when a group starts very new, it's like on a playground. You are going around, you are everywhere. You are trying to connect to different people, and you have a very loose feeling about this connection. And from this point on, it develops according to the allowed activities, to the rules and culture. And as I said before, the sum of the personal group imagos decides about the direction, the development, and the success of the group. I draw my imago, my very personal one, at this time, at the 5th of March. And as I said, I'm very loose connected to the Joomla project, so that's why I'm here. I'm on the border. the border is nearly open, so I can go in, I can go out. There's nothing which hinders me to be there or not to be there. And there are a lot of other members, and to some of them I'm closer, and some of them are grouping together, so these are well-known members, the bigger stars, and the smaller stars are not the well-known ones inside the community. So what I can see from outside, okay, there are some names there, I heard very often, I can read about, but there are very many people around there which I don't know. So they are somehow here. There are a lot of people outside of this group also. This might be people just heard about Joomla, just downloaded it once, tried it and skipped it away. This might be clients which we don't know, which are somehow a part of the community or somehow not. They won't define themselves as a part of the community, but somehow from our perspective, as a Joomla group, they belong to us. Okay, how I saw the board, the lead of this Joomla community, I saw it in a three-quarter split of matters, production leadership team, and community leadership team. This was my impression when I was talking with Hagen, when I went to my first Joomla day last year in Saragossa. I had the impression, okay, they are just equal, so they care about the community, they care about the code and the further development, and open source matters, they care about the finances, the events, and the trademark. And they are equally empowered, and they are clearly distinguished regarding their responsibilities. This was what I thought. Okay. To make it a little bit simpler to understand, very simplified group imago idea. This is the big community. These are the uncounted numbers of members of this community. Some of them I know personally, so I'm closer to them. And there's a board, there's a real border, there's a board. They do something which probably has nothing to do with the whole community. There's hardly a way down here, there's hardly a way up there. So this is my personal impression. It would be very interesting if every one of you draw your own imago, just out of nothing. Just don't think, write it down, draw it. Right now. I will hold it. So, no, this could be a very valuable feedback. Also, when I think about what Paul was saying this morning, that you have to restructure the project, the community, the group, that you have to face some challenges, some necessary changes. And probably there are some changes unconscious in your drawing, which you haven't thought about before. You just draw, okay, I'm here, I'm there, how many people I'm close to, how do I see the Joomla project as a group? So who want to give me his scenario? Yeah? Okay, so what do we have here? Aha. Can you see it? Okay, here's the community. And here's the production and the community leadership team, and here's open source methods. And there are some connections, they are above the community. And there are some loose connections, they are not closed, so there are gaps between. Yeah. Yes, I can do it. Yeah. And so for the first impression, when I see this, I'm thinking, okay, there's a big community, and above of them there are three, I don't know, leads, and they are loosely connected to each other. Okay. It might be an interesting beginning of a good discussion about, okay, how's the use? What is this? This is difficult, you know? She's there, I guess. She's the designer. I give it around if you allow. Yeah? So, you can take it out. Yeah? And above of her, somewhere in the clouds, there are, I don't know if it's raindrops or what is it? Okay. And maybe you explain it.
Well, there's a CMS with Joomla right in here, and there's a lot of kind of vague stuff all the way around it. Clouds and rain. There are members here, and a lot of developers.
Where are you? You are down there. Okay, so give it around. And the last example, please.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
My slow ears, probably.
Ha! Okay. It's nearly the same result, you know. I give it around if you allow. There's the board outside of the community, and there are some members. And you are also outside of the community.
On the right.
This one,
Yeah.
Okay. So, just to make it very, very simple, but don't use it as a pattern, please. Yeah. What I got as a feedback from these three examples, and what I draw, you know, the board is somewhere. It has no real connection to the community. This is the main conclusion, the main common thing. And you don't know even, and this might be also result somewhere here. You know, there's a big bubble, and this is the community, but what is it? Yeah?
Do you want to see another one or no? 'Cause I got. Do you want to see another one or?
Yeah.
Quick print it out.
Yeah, quick print it out. I can just quickly draw it maybe and then erase it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never used Joomla, so I don't know. Am I the only one in the room that's never used Joomla? No.
Turn your computer up.
I can't write on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it right here. I'll do it right here.
You can write on the smartboard.
It wasn't working. It wasn't smart enough for me. Or I'm not smart enough for it, maybe. So to me, what I came up with is here are the users, and you're interested non-techies. And this is me kind of over here. And here's a core group of geeks that somewhat overlaps the users, but not so much. And here's some cheerleaders, which can be geeks or users. And then there's this small group, but very important, of interested geeks. So these are people that are kind of trying to break into the system. And then over here, there's this other, I call them bureaucrats. And they're supposedly support, and this is just what I've learned from today, and so I'm just and 90% of what happens in the organization cycles between these.
Okay.
So that's my, as an outsider, perception, and it may or may not be accurate, but that's
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's your view. You don't have to excuse this. So it's your view on this. And maybe for you,
Can I say something?
yes,
Because I'm
we're
looking
going to show
at,
yours.
I would like to show mine because I was you, and this was how I felt, exactly
concentric circle.
I have peace, love, and happiness for everybody. And, but I think I don't know. I'm really curious about the board being so separated and above everybody because I'm on the board, but you're above everybody.
But whatever came out in this short exercise, take it as a result. Maybe you will give them your drawings. Might be interesting to start discussions about it. Inside the board, because each board is a group in itself. Yeah. So because before we had these three, these two, the official two, the OSM members and the leadership team. So we have officially two groups, but the hidden structure shows three groups. So the community leadership teams also, which came out in both of the models. And even if you are a little bit deeper inside the community in the Joomla project, you have this vision. If you are outside, you have this vision, or you have this one, And
I don't want to interrupt, but I'm getting ideas as we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes.
Sorry, Omar.
I was just interested what Jason, how he defines the difference between users and geeks.
I mean, I see a big difference between people that are looking for technology and can write code and people that are looking for a solution. And I think most people that use Joomla, I come from the business side of the world. So to me, the users are the people that want to solve a problem. And I don't want to hear about features. I don't want to hear about configuration. I don't want to hear about modules. I want to hear it solves my problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that's the bulk of the people that need to use it on a day-to-day basis. Whereas there's the geeks, the IT people that have to install it and support it. But it's not the people that day-to-day are going to be entering content. It's not the people that are going to be complaining, oh, I don't know how to use this navigation system. I don't know how to, the people that actually use it on a day-to-day. And they might know how to install a plugin or a module, or I forget what it's called in Joomla.
Content, whatever.
Yeah, they might be able to do that, but that's not their core thing. Like, I think like tinkerers versus programmers maybe is another difference.
Sounds like you
No,
need
wait a
users.
second. We will explore
Okay.
it a little bit deeper. So it's not, okay, this is your perspective. So it's good for the moment. So everyone is good for the moment. Maybe it's interesting really for the leaders, whoever they are, to start a discussion about this. How really the community sees the structure of the community. So different members, also the board members, how do they see this? What does it mean, to come together in a discussion before you change the structure? Okay, in a little bit, it's very, usually it takes a long time to do it, to explain it, and there are very different levels. It's really just an overview. Let's go to the dynamics of groups. When talking about group behavior and group development, most of the people are just talking about the dynamics of the groups. So this is a very limited approach, as we saw before in the small insight according to the structure of the group. So you have two main parts of the dynamics which characterize the dynamics of the group. The one is, why do you stick together? And this could be, I need a solution for my client.
Yeah.
I love the world, I love open source, I don't know whatever. So this is your common ground, your common basic sense. Why you stick together. And on top of this, there can be added more developed, over the time developed common things, why you stick together, why you do something together, why you act like you act as a group. And there are the other power against this. I tried to make it with the arrows. There are the individual interests. And the individual interests they are seen in the group imagos if we draw it in a more visual way. If we go a little bit deeper inside, we can make it visible what are the main individual interests inside the group. And they are shown in the ways people present themselves, what they contribute, what they require, how they start fighting with each other against another group inside the group, how they try to build walls around them, how they try to rebel, separate, whatever, how they, I don't know, try to keep their position because, I'm elected right now, so I will stay here, I'm important, even you are less important, it doesn't matter, even you have the better ideas, I am here. So this is all here. And if both is not in balance over a long time, and if there is a high outside pressure, and the outside pressure could be competition, we were talking a lot about the market share of the three open source code management systems, WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla, and about 70% which don't use any content management system. So this could be a pressure from outside. It could be a pressure from our clients. It could be a pressure from the globalized world, how people use different devices. You know, if you don't have anything which answers their requests regarding mobile websites, you know, the pressure is very high here. And if we have very big power struggles inside here, then we minimize our cohesion, our reason why we are together. And the whole balance is going around and around. This is a chance for development, for a change. This is really a chance. But if you don't see it as a group, you will be not alive in a certain time. Okay, just look back to the group activities, or look to the group activities. Next one, please. There are activities between the lead, it's a very simple form, between the lead. So there are things decided here which are transmitted to the members of the group and backwards. So this is an ideal way of communicating. You give something, you get something back. Right? And between the members of the group. And if there is a good balance, if there is a good culture, if the cohesion and the personal interests are balanced, then it's a good way of acting. And depending on how much the group is focused on their internal activities, on internal power struggles, on internal intrigues or reorganization, then it's a good point to attack them from outside. You know, so this is quite difficult to handle, and it's often in change processes. You know, if you need to change, if you go to a company and you need to change organizational structure, there's a lot ongoing here. And they forget that they have to stand up against an external pressure, against the market. And they are not able probably to find a way out because they have so much to do to rebel and discuss about the decisions they are doing and against the different groups inside the group, you know. And when they use all their power for this activity, and then they realize it's often the way, if you go in a company, you know, they have to restructure, they have to cut their number of employees, you know, there's a big fight inside. Then they have to fight outside, and there's no creative outcome. And, okay, it's my personal thing. When I just think of the mobile development inside Joomla, you know, there's a world outside No, they need a creative outcome. They need to be able to watch the websites on mobile devices. As I understood, there is less creative activity at the moment. For what reason ever, you know? It's not known, it's not found, it's not seen. And the creative outcome, if we just look on the external pressure to have it, it's quite reduced at the moment in this term. When we think about, or when we discuss about mobile devices, there might be some fights inside, there might be just, we haven't thought about it, we slept away, we had so much to do to find our way around in the community. Because I have no orientation what I can do. I know everything about mobile. I can't put it in a big hole and the others won't find it, you know. And then she finds no way in, you know, how to do it. So she is going around and around and around, but there's no creative common outcome from the group. Okay? A quick look on what does it mean when we talk about group authorities. The group authorities is a summary of, it's not a person, it's a summary of everything, what is inside the group, a summary of the mental, the material, and the political influences of the group. And you have on one side, you have persons. You have a person legally in charge, you have the real leader, and you have the psychological leader. This can be one, but it doesn't have to be one person. This can be different persons, but it should really work together. Or, in some cases, it's one person. So, famous example, Steve Jobs was the person in charge, the real leader, and the psychological leader. And the interesting point is, how will this company go and act on the market and be visible for the outside audience in terms of how can they stand up on the external pressure, how can they be competitive. It's also decided here how they act together with the new board of leaders on that, for example. And when I think of your imago, you draw three different, which are not really good connected to each other. And I think this is one of the biggest problems, watching from outside, my personal impression, you have in the community, that you have no clear leadership board, with clear responsibilities, with clear aims, with a clear common vision, with clear rules, and the rules also according how to get in, how to be elected, what will happen when I fail to do my job, how to be evaluated, what is the culture inside. Is it just, oh, we come together and have a nice here in the afternoon and be doing blah, blah, blah? What is the culture? Is it permitted to say critics? Is it permitted to stand up and say, no, it's the wrong direction, we should move around, we should go in another direction? How long does it take to change something like this? This is a question which lies in the culture and in the structure, and it comes out in the activities. Okay. Talking about motivation, there are some basic needs every human being has. And I just want to go through very quickly. The first one is we need stimulation. We need something which inspires us, which challenges us. We need something where it's allowed for us to express what is inside, what we can do, what we want to do. So we need it. We really need it. We need to be appreciated. We need someone who takes care of us, who say, oh, you are a great person, you did a wonderful job, thank you. So we need it. If we don't get it, if we contribute, and if we never get a recognition of what we have done, then, you know, you do it several times and then you give up. We need a structure, a clear structure, an understandable structure. We need to be safe that when we integrate in this group, when we are going to be active and contribute to this group, that we are not going lost, that we understand, okay, when I put something in the platform, when I create an extension or a template, I'm sure it will be there, it will be evaluated, it will be there in a certain amount of time, it will be used from others. So this is my part of recognition. So we really need a clear structure in terms of who is leading, who has taken which responsibilities, to whom can I address my requests, my desires, my needs, my wishes, my contributions. Yes, we need leadership. We really need it. Even, it sounds a bit strange, but believe me, every human being needs a sort of guidance. No one can walk alone through the forest. No one. You need a sort of guidance. Even a light takes you through the forest, but you need a type of leadership. And leadership does not mean that you have a dictator. It does not mean that you have a board of directors which don't speak with each other and have clear responsibilities. But you need a lead in terms of they are responsible, they have a clear vision, I can trust them in terms of structure, in terms of organization, in terms of recognition. They will see what I'm doing. So we really need this. And we need to survive in this group. To survive in a group means when I join a group, remember what I said in the beginning, I do it at first from a personal interest. No one ever does anything without a personal interest. No one. So when you go to present something, you have a personal interest. When you go to a group and want to walk around the mountains, you have a personal interest. And they could be very different. And think back on the group in Magos. You have to survive in a good position, in a good mood in this group. When you are not seen, if you can't find structure, if you feel lost, if you have no guidance, if you are not appreciated, you will leave this group. Yeah, we need a place where we can show what is inside. We need the fire, we need to create new ideas. Everyone needs it. Even they don't know it for the moment, but everyone needs a place. And we need a place where we can lay back and feel stable and safe. So that means when I now start to contribute and create templates for this project, will this project still exist in this environment? I don't know, when I'm ready with this template in 3 months, will this project still exist in a way I like, according to vision? I really appreciate, I want to follow this guidance, this lead, when I contribute something today. So we need to be secure, sure, and we need a calm, how do you say it in English, a quiet environment to work on. We need freedom in our work. And you guess they need all 7, they need to be balanced. It's possible over a certain time to neglect the stimulation, the recognition, if you just have a strong lead and if you have a clear structure, because you have to rearrange your group, then it's probably less time for stimulation, for recognition, or to express yourself. And it's a very troubling time. It's not easy to do all the changes. But if it's over a long time, if there's over a long time one motivator not feed it, how do you say, if you So then it's something missing. And this reflects on your personal group imago. And think back, your personal imago, your personal wish, your desire, your feeling decides about where is the whole group going. Yeah.
I agree with everything you're saying, but I still want to do the counterpoint that keeps popping into my head, which is what you're talking about in terms of leadership and structure and such. Drupal has all that, and Joomla has 50% more users. So there's something in the community,
I know really good the Drupal community. They have a structure, they have a different structure.
Yeah.
So Joomla has also a structure,
Okay.
but they are different. And it depends on what is the vision, why people stick together.
You're not saying
To
there's not
create
structure.
the structure. Huh?
You're not saying there's not structure.
No.
No, there's no structure.
And
You
now-
have a structure, you have an official structure.
You talked about leadership, though. It sounds like you're saying Joomla is lacking in leadership, or did I just read that in? Does that?
I would say personally there's a big lack of leadership.
From a business point of view, I would say that lack of leadership has served them better than Drupal. Just from a market share point of view. And I agree with everything you're saying. Like, I don't want to be part of an organization that doesn't have a leader. I have no time for it and no
Yes.
patience for it. So I hear everything you said. But I also need to look at the numbers and say, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering, can a very good structure make up for a lack of leadership? And I'm just kind of like trying to understand what's right, because the reason that Joomla is different from the other two, going back to your talk, is the community. I mean, it is. I mean,
You're right. I know the differences. I have a very deep insight in the Drupal community. And I know how the Drupal community is structured and who leads who. And I know there's an official structure, there's a hidden structure. So the same here. Each group has a structure. And I think, my personal feeling, there is a lack of leadership in terms of, we come later to this, efficiency, contributions, acknowledgement, and such things. So just give me 2 minutes to come to this point.
okay,
Well,
sorry.
kind of addressing this point, so from a user's point of view between Drupal and Joomla, well, I can, from your conversation, like you see this larger Joomla group, and from my point of view, it seems more accessible than the brick wall, I think, that was mentioned in your slide, one of your slides. It's like, at some point in time as a user, you don't know anything other than you do see there's more of a brick wall here than here. So whether this has leadership or not, you're going to, I'm going to check this one out first. That doesn't necessarily mean that you picked the right one. So
Yes.
that's kind of what I'm thinking about when you're saying what you're saying. Does that, am I like addressing, is that like this? Too much of a segue, or, but that's what I think of when I think of one group being bigger than the other. That there's going to be too much for me to overcome here than this one. But even though I've met, is it Dries, am I pronouncing it correctly? And super. And when I've met the people at one of the expos, I was like, wow, these are great people. This is nice. I enjoyed meeting them. But it still felt like it was not attainable for me at that time.
I don't think it's
Probably still not. But so that's why I'm in Joomla, because I didn't know anything about any of this
Yes.
stuff to start out.
But this is your personal point of view.
Yeah.
Now imagine, you were talking about 30 million downloads since the beginning of Joomla. I don't know the figures of Google, since it started Google, but it doesn't matter. So what I want to say is there's a great, very big, diverse number of people behind each of the projects, and they look different every day into this project. But
I don't think it's so much like a brick wall. It's like a beach. In fact, this is what my shirt says. It says this is Drupal at the beach, and the beach is a really wonderful. Like, it was like, I want to go to the beach. The beach is so nice. And you're like walking around the beach. You're like, this is really great. And you're walking around the beach. You're like, I'm walking on sand. And you're like walking around like, wow, it's really hard to walk on sand. Like why is the beach covered in sand? It's like, and after walking on sand for too long, you're like incredibly tired.
Yes.
Or
But
just,
this
just
is,
an,
it's, you are all right, but this is your personal point. It's only your
It's my personal
point.
beach.
Yes, and you all came with your personal point in this. You know, I'm in the Joomla community responsible, so everyone has this personal point, and the personal interests, how they get. How you find them accomplished over a long period of time. This might be changing. And for some people which are new in the community, are not this long inside the community, they might have a complete different feeling, a complete different vision on the group structure and of how is the culture in this community than those which are from the very beginning on board. And I have very different views on the Joomla community from the very early beginning until now. I have not so much changes on my personal imago when I look on the Joomla community, because I started just really to look a little bit deeper after meeting Diane, after attending the first Joomla Day last year, and now here. You know, I have a complete different personal feeling about this. Yes.
I'm so intrigued by your drawing, and I just want to say that when I was there at that point of just coming in, I worked with Joomla for maybe a year, and then they launched the People site, and I got involved in that, and then I joined the magazine. I think the biggest thing with Joomla is once you put yourself into a group, okay, you do find other people to get involved with, and I think I'm just more, I don't know, maybe I'm willing, and I like to volunteer myself, I say yes, and magazine started up, and I kind of reached in, Paul reached out, and I've been involved with that, and that just was just sort of a natural progression up to the stuff that I'm doing now. So.
It's always depending on your personal
On my
interest.
yes. But
Also, what you are doing, you
Yeah.
know, and you change your position inside the group from the very beginning, so as everyone does.
Well, I mean, you said that these need to exist in all the same amount.
Over a long term, for a healthy development of the human being, it needs to be balanced.
In a group or in the individual's life, or both?
Both. Yes.
Because I'm just wondering if the group attracts people that feel that they're lacking in something that the group maybe is heavier in than something else. And that leads to the imbalance that isn't necessarily good for the group.
You say that again?
Okay, come to the group because you have a personal need. You think you're lacking something. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. You see it in the group. Maybe the group has it, maybe it doesn't. But anyway, you get involved in the group. Perhaps they're very heavy on leadership. They're weaker in other areas, but you feel you're lacking as a leader, so you get attracted to it. But that's not necessarily good for, and maybe it's your impression, maybe it's not. But whether or not you stay or leave the group, it's going to be, let's just say, it's all on your perception of it.
Yes.
Yeah, but in reality, you need to have, if you can, have some kind of a litmus testing. Are we fairly well balanced? You need to almost have an outsider, you know, look at you and, or, you know, just ask people, you know, what, get a good consensus of, you know, are we pretty well balanced, or maybe we really are, you know, lacking in goals or something.
May I interrupt you? Sorry. So I think we need to discuss leadership. What does it mean? But not right now. It's not that there's one person who leads the group. So, but another point I want to show, a few points I want to show. I did a very small survey on Facebook a few weeks ago, and I asked several questions. Why are you on the Joomla community? Why are you active and what are you doing there? And you could add some answers. And I hope you can read it. I asked something, do you like open source? I use Joomla. I like the people, I create websites. I teach Joomla. I wrote extensions. Make the world a better place. Try to live on provide hosting, I live on Joomla, I design templates, I write books about, I contribute code, and I translate for Joomla. So it's just a very, very small group of about 50 people who answered this question, very small, very limited. No, there were several answers possible. And I just want to take this as to show a possible tendency. And this gets confirmed by talking with different people. And it's not available for everybody, but I think there's a tendency visible here. I just summarized it in the motivators I presented before. And I summarized, I contribute code, books, and translations, because those people who are doing translations and writing books and give it away for free or for a minimum amount, they can't make a living on this. So I really put it under recognition. So because they just want to show something, it's disputable. So they just contribute. And you never ever do something or give something away if you don't expect to be seen, if you don't be recognized, or there might be something in the world with, oh, I'm a nice guy, he's writing books because he thinks, I'm a nice guy, I will give it for you. And he hopes you see him, that he's a nice guy, that's why he's writing books. Another one is doing translations because there's a big community in the country and they want to do a translation for the community because then it's a nice guy in the country. You always have personal motivations behind, but you want to be recognized. Most of the 50 people I asked, they live on Joomla, they build sites, they build extensions, templates, they teach, or they offer hosting. So there's a big need to survive by using Joomla, finding a solution for a client, making a living on it. This is the big portion. And there's also a portion, they like the people, so they come for the community. So come for the code, stay for the community. It's a wonderful slogan, but
come for the software.
Yes, even in Brooklyn, there are less people here than here. And I like open source. I want to make the world a better place. Ryan said in Zaragoza, this is his motivation. Okay, there's another motivation behind, but this is very personal. But I like open source and I want to make the world a better place. This is something I summarize under passion. I'm passionate about open source. I want to share it with everyone in the world.
Which communities have you seen that tend to have the highest stimulus? Stimulus being the highest?
No one.
No. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. So I grouped it again a little bit. The survival, the summary of the group interest and the personal interest, the personal versus the community interest. They decide about the dynamics of the group, in which direction the group is going, and how this influences the activities inside the group. And if you think back, even only 50 people answered, but the survival is the highest portion, There is a big demand on, I need valuable things, but there is a very low level of contribution, maybe because of a low level of recognition. Maybe it's not within the culture which lies in the structure. Maybe. It's just to make it clear, my view from outside. I haven't talked with anyone about this before, just with my daughter. And she's not a part of this community, so it's really my personal point of view. Okay. So remember, this is the official structure of the Joomla project, and how does this public structure really reflect the culture of the group? So this is the big question, maybe for you to answer, to find an answer by restructuring. And another big question, so this is from where? It's from India? These are Joomla users.
Ahmedabad.
Yeah. And the question is, imaging the enormous number of